You are about to watch a war. Billions of people picking sides. Two nations that can't stand each other, going head to head while the whole planet screams, and almost nobody dies. Welcome to the World Cup, the biggest, strangest, most peaceful war humans have ever invented. And once you see it this way, you cannot unsee it. Don't believe me? Right now, a grown man is sobbing into a jersey because 11 strangers lost a game, and a whole country's mood just dropped with him. The last World Cup reached about 5 billion people, more than half of everyone alive. The final alone pulled in around 1.5 billion. Nothing else we do gathers a crowd like that. Not elections, not moon landings. Half our species watching the same ball at the same time. So you'd think hosting this, or winning it, must pay off big. Here's the twist nobody posts. Mostly it doesn't. Winning the World Cup can lose you a fortune. Brazil spent over $11 billion to host. Now several of those gleaming stadiums sit half empty, too big to fill, too costly to knock down. Economists keep checking and keep finding the same thing. The money rarely comes back. Most of the people who hosted said it wasn't worth it. So if it's not about money, what is all this actually for? To find out, forget the billions. Let's shrink the whole World Cup down to one man and one kick. It's a penalty shootout, the final. A whole nation holding its breath, and it all comes down to you, the ball, and the keeper. 12 yards away, the goal looks huge. The keeper looks bigger. You've got one kick and about a second to decide. Left or right? Don't read ahead, pick now. You're the one taking it. Left corner or right corner? Lock it in. Here's the trap. You've got a stronger side. Say you're right, so shoot right. Where you're deadliest? Simple. Except the keeper knows you've got a stronger side too. If you always go strong side, he learns it, dives there every time, and starts eating your best shot. In this game, predictable is just a slower word for beaten. But only ever going weak side to fool him? Now you're missing the goal yourself. So what's the unbeatable plan? It turns out there's no single move. There's a recipe. You have to be genuinely random, mostly strong side, sometimes weak, mixed so even you don't know until the run-up. Game theory has a name for it, a mixed strategy. Any pattern is a weakness. The only way to be truly unreadable is to leave it partly to chance. The dice aren't a cop-out here. The dice are the strategy. And here's the wild part. A game theorist studied 1,400 real penalty kicks. The pros, with millions on the line, were already doing this math, almost perfectly. Nobody taught them the equations. The pressure taught them. When losing hurts enough, humans drift toward the exact mix the theory predicts. We compute it in our feet. Now flip to the keeper for a fact that breaks your brain. Goalkeepers who just stand still in the middle save about a third of all penalties. A third. But they almost never stand still. They dive left or right about 94% of the time. Even though staying put works better. Why on earth? Because diving and missing feels like effort. Standing still and missing feels like you did nothing. So they leap to avoid looking lazy. It has a name. Action bias. We'd rather do the wrong thing dramatically than the right thing quietly. Hang on to that one. It explains a lot more than penalties. Okay, so one kick is a tiny game, but zoom back out. Why does an entire nation's happiness ride on it? Why do we care who wins? Because deep down we're settling an older question. Who's stronger? Whose tribe wins? And through all of history, there were only two ways to answer that. Option 1, actually fight. Weapons, land, counting the dead. Expensive, bloody. Option 2, pick a safer contest, agree the loser just loses, and everybody goes home alive. Nature sorted this out long before we did. Two stags don't fight to the death over territory. They lock antlers and shove, a test of strength with the killing switched off. Most animal battles are bluff and display. Winner takes the prize, loser limps off alive. Biologists call it ritual combat. Humans turned it into a global industry. That's what a national team really is. 11 people sent to prove a whole country's strength without anyone having to die to find out. War with the shooting switched off. And we have been doing this for thousands of years. Same game, new costumes. Here's the highlight reel. Ancient Rome. The emperors worked out that a crowd watching the games is a crowd that isn't rioting. They had a name for the recipe: bread and circuses. Feed them and entertain them, and they'll let you rule. The spectacle wasn't a distraction from power. The spectacle was power. Ancient Greece went one better. During the Olympic Games, they called a sacred truce, safe passage for every athlete and fan so the games could actually happen. Careful, though. It's a lovely idea, only half true. The wars didn't all magically stop, but the principle was radical. For the games, we lower the weapons. Fast forward, the Cold War. America and the Soviets never fired at each other directly. So instead, they went to war for gold medals and bragging rights. It got so bitter that in 1980, 60-plus nations boycotted the Moscow Olympics. 4 years later, the Soviets boycotted right back, a proxy war that grew its own proxy war. Back in 1945, George Orwell watched all this and wrote the cleanest line anyone ever has. Serious sport, he said, is war minus the shooting. Bread and circuses, the Olympic truce, Cold War medals, the World Cup. Different centuries, exact same machine. We keep building safer ways to ask one question: who's strongest? And the machine runs on something primal. Pull on your country's shirt, and a total stranger becomes us. The other shirt becomes them. Instant tribe, no questions asked. It's also the biggest coordination game on the planet. Why do you watch? Partly because everyone else is. The World Cup is one giant shelling point. Remember episode 10? Leaders know every bit of this. A winning team is a happy, united, distracted country. More than one government has hidden behind a tournament. Bread and circuses never retired. Even the race to host is a game and a trap. Countries outbid each other for the prize, then discover the prize is a pile of empty stadiums. Game theory calls it the winner's curse. If you like spotting the hidden game under things you thought you understood, that's his whole channel. Subscribe. It's free, and it's basically the away end. Now here's why I genuinely love this game. Think about what we replaced. For almost all of history, who's stronger was answered with armies. Today, two nations who genuinely can't stand each other can settle it in 90 minutes. And the loser goes home furious, but alive. That is an extraordinary upgrade. 90 minutes of fury, a handshake at the whistle, and everyone's still around to lose again next time. The World Cup might just be the cheapest war ever fought. But let's be honest, the shooting isn't always fully switched off. Get the mix wrong, and the ritual can spill back into the real thing. In 1969, with tensions already boiling over land and migration, a set of World Cup qualifiers between two nations became the spark. Within weeks, they were at war. Thousands died. Sport didn't cause that war, but it lit a fuse that was already there. And football crowds still tip into violence. The same fire that warms us can burn the house down. So it's a trick, not a cure. A safe war only stays safe while everyone keeps agreeing it's a game, and we don't get a crystal ball for the day they stop. But here's the whole thing in one line. The World Cup isn't silly. It might be one of civilization's smartest inventions. A way to fight for glory without the graves. 2 for the comments. 1. Be honest. Left or right on that penalty? And could a keeper read you? 2. Is war minus the shooting a brilliant peace machine? Or just war we've made comfortable? Next time, the strategy where looking like you've completely lost your mind is the single smartest move on the board. The madman theory, you've definitely used it on someone.
Wait, so when I'm screaming at the telly, I'm basically a tiny Roman emperor?
And when you cry, you're a stag who lost the shove. Put the scarf down, Stan.
For the hidden game behind everything, every week subscribe. And whoever you're cheering for this summer, go easy on the other shirt.